Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of A Chapter a Day Keeps the Doctor Away. My name is Alan, otherwise known as Hisui, and I'm from ReverseThieves.com as well as the Speakeasy Podcast. And this time I'm looking at Hayate, the Combat Butler, Chapter 438, Attention Please. And after the big chapter of revelations and seeing where the story is going, 438 kind of decides, whoa, before we get to see Hayate's brother and possibly some of the casts of Hero of the Sea Lifesavers, let's have a Hina story. Because Hina probably isn't going to be in the story about Hayate's brother too much. And if we don't give the Hina fans Hina, then they get really mad because since they never got Hinagiku, the combat student council president, we have to at least appease them with some amount of Hina service. So it starts with Mickey asking Hinagiku to give a speech at their sister school, and Hinagiku's like, it's during summer break. Fine. I'm the super responsible one. I'll go do it. And Mickey conveniently leaves out that it is at their sister school in Australia, and that means that she has to take a plane to get there. And since they got her this really expensive business class seat, and she's Hinagiku and never backs down from responsibility, she basically is forced to go. By the way, I looked it up, and they say that it's something in Hyogo, which is a province of Japan. Apparently, the Hyogo Prefectural Government Cultural Center does have a tie to Perth, Australia, and they do have some amount of cultural and student exchange. So I guess it actually is based somewhat on real events. So now Hayate, best comic, because it's obviously based on reality. Everything else in it must be true as well. But that silliness aside, we go and Hinagiku is just like totally freaking out in the business class lounge. And she's having what she says is coffee and some strange food. And she doesn't say what it is. And it just looks like string beans in a cup. I'm actually kind of curious what it is, but it is strange food. Also, later on, I'm thinking that Hinagiku loading up on coffee was not her best plan, but that is for later. And so, a business traveler and his kid are also in the lounge, and they notice how freaked out Hinagiku is. Being all like looking around and like, how are all these people not freaking out? They could die at any minute up in that plane. If that thing falls out of the sky, there's no way we're gonna live. Oh no. And the kid's like, hey, flying a plane isn't scary. There's only like a 0.001 chance of you dying. It's the safest method of travel. And Hinagiku's like, yeah, but we could be that 0.001. And then we're all dead. All dead. Swallow your soul. Swallow your soul. And so the kid freaks out. He's like, I don't want to fly. And then we see that actually Hinagiku being, a perfect Mary Sue character didn't actually say that. But she's like, I still wanted to say that to that kid. And so she gets on the plane. And she's playing with the window because, of course, she gets a window seat. So she's like, all right, I don't want to see what's outside, so I'm going to close the window. But what happens if I hear something? I'm going to panic because I can't see outside. And she plays with the window long enough that they're like, all right, fasten your seatbelts. And as the plane is taking off, she basically shouts out, "Oh my god, if I survive this, Hayate, I'll tell you I love you, Hayate!" And then she's like, "Oh my god, we took off safely. I lived! Amazing! Hallelujah!" And so she tries to get some sleep, and then they give her food, and she's like, "Yeah, they went through all the trouble, and I don't want to waste food because I'm a Hinagiku." So she eats her meal, and then she's like, "All right, that was pretty good. Now it's time to get to sleep. And if I'm sleeping, I don't know what's going on, so it'll be an easy trip." And then there's turbulence. And then after the turbulence, she still can't get to sleep. And I'm thinking all that coffee is partially responsible for that. I mean, I'm sure the nervousness is also keeping her up, but so she's like, "Oh my god, why can't I sleep? It's still 8 hours of torture." And then out of like nowhere, Aika appears next to her and is like, "Hey, if you need to get to sleep, I can hold your hands." And she's like, What are you doing here?" It's like, "I'm the vice president. Why didn't you think they'd ask me to make the speech as well?" She's like, No, why didn't you ever talk to me?" And she's like, "Oh, because you're like super hysterical when you're alone and scared. And I was, drinking in your terror, as a monster sadist would do." Which seems to be a running theme among certain Hayate characters. And so she's like, "And I got to see some juiciness of you shouting out a certain when, He was like, "No, that never happened. Be quiet." And then she realizes, "Oh my god, I'm going to have to do this all over again when I go back home." So that was, fun, easy breezy chapter. Definitely some Hina service. Once again, I really think that Hina fans really like to see Hina in pain. So her just freaking out the whole chapter, pretty much like Mana to them. I am kind of curious how much we're going to flash to Hinagiku Down Under or Hinagiku Dundee. Because I feel like Hinagiku's popular enough character that they might devote 1, 2, even like 3 whole chapters on a Hinagiku in Australia adventure. Especially since Izumi can pop up pretty much anywhere, and they do have Aika there. So that's 3 characters that could be in Australia. 2 that are definitely there, and 1 that, like, the minute you just need another character, she's just, "I'm lost! Oh, I'm now a part of your party!" And it would also allow them to go on some kind of supernatural adventure. Also would be a good way to to basically formally tell everybody that Aika knows about supernatural stuff. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious from the manga, but at least it might inform the rest of the Australia cast that is the case. Other than like Athena and Mikado. But although Hayate should have a clue, since she was at the meeting with Athena and Mikado when they were discussing the King's Jewel. So, but Hayate characters can be unnecessarily dense. But I feel like Hayate is the type of character to pick up on that. But I don't know. I mean, it might just be like a throwaway gag in like 2 panels about her Australia trip. But I'm thinking we're going to get at least a little more than that. Probably a chapter, but it is Hinagiku. And the fan base loves her, so I could be more. But I wonder if we're going to have another stall chapter, or if we get into the trip to Hayate's brother next time. But either way, I'm excited, as always, for the next Hayate. Alright, I'll see you guys next time.